Now, the number one question a few months ago when these cards were handed out was this. The number one question was, what is my purpose? Or related questions like, what am I supposed to do? What now? What's next for me? Where do I turn? All that stuff. And I have a very simple answer to that question. If that is your question, what is my purpose? What am I going to do? What's next for me? I have 4 words. Run for your life. Get yourself in motion. Never be stuck in indecision. God cannot co-pilot a plane parked in the hangar. Get some wind beneath your wings. Get some wind behind your back. Start moving. The last thing we want to do is get stuck in the muck and the mire of indecision. Start moving in that direction, start moving in that direction. Some direction, pick a direction, just start moving. And God will join you. God will meet you halfway. It's been a wish of mine for a long time to go to Bouchard Gardens. You know Bouchard Gardens up on Vancouver Island? And there's a hotel called the Empress Hotel. And it was a wish of mine, it's on my life list. If you don't have a life list, please make one. Write down what you want to do and be in this life. Get clear about it. Let it begin to move you running in the direction of your joy and your light and your love and your peace. So I wrote it down, Bouchard Gardens. So my wife and I went for it. We ran for it this summer. Now you can get there 2 different ways. You could drive to Seattle and take a ferry across. That takes about 7 hours. Or you can fly up to Seattle, which is like 20 minutes, and then catch a connecting flight to Vancouver Island, which is like 15 minutes. So the whole thing's like an hour and a half to 2 minutes. So we opted for the hour and a half to 2 minutes because we wanted to get Victoria and have as much time as we could because we only had a two-night, 3-day stay, right? So we opted for the short one, the hour and a half to 2 hours. But let's just say it didn't work out that way. She comes on the loudspeaker and she says this: your flight has been canceled, but you can connect a connecting flight at Terminal in 2 hours and at Terminal 2, and you can catch your flight to Vancouver and then to Victoria. However, now this is where we heard the gun go off. She goes, imagine, this is the number of people. She goes, however, there are not enough seats for all of you on the connecting flight. Now see, a minute ago, there was nothing Heather and I could do, so we moved our minds. Now there's something we can do. We can move our feet. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change what I can. I can move my feet. When she said that in that moment, it was like the gun went off. It was like, run for your life. Now, I didn't want to bring a gun into church, but I got the sound effects thing. So as soon as she said, there are not enough seats for all of you, in our mind, this is the sound we heard. And I looked at my wife, Heather. She was standing there with her carry-on luggage with wheels. She had a backpack on. I was sitting down with my computer in my lap and books all around me. I couldn't move. I looked up at her. She looked at me like the gate had opened and there's a rabbit running around the track. I said, honey, go on without me. Run for your life. And she... She's gazelle-like. I've never seen anyone run faster through an airport in my life except for maybe O.J. Simpson, and that doesn't count. And so the masses let out a moan as if they had already missed their connection. The thing you need to understand is no one knew how many seats were on the connecting flight. Was there 10? Was there 80? I don't know. But they let out a moan as if they had missed their flight already. And they grabbed their luggage and they started walking like the Night of the Living Dead. They started to move as if Terminal 2 was terminal. Now here's the thing, they had no idea. They weren't actually moving in slow motion like on Chariots of Fire, but in Chariots of Fire they weren't actually in slow motion. It was for dramatic effect. So I don't know what. Now some people were walking, others were fast walking, and then there's Heather. Now what you need to know is, from where we were to Terminal 2 may as well have been to Timbuktu. It was like an obstacle course. Downstairs and escalators, she came to the first escalator. She picked up her luggage, ran down the steps, got to the bottom. It was a 50-yard dash between where she was and the train. She picked it up, she started running. She passed a fast walker who looked at her like... The doors open to the train, and as she's approaching the train, the doors start to close, so she throws her luggage onto the train, and then she dives in the train, and the door shuts behind like. And Heather looks back going, she was running for her life, for joy, for why not? For the joy of it, for the fun of it. Because the whole point is to make the connection, right? And we're all going back to the garden. All going to the garden. It's just a matter of when we choose to get there. Now the reason why the fast walker wasn't running, and the reason why the Night of the Living Dead people were moving toward Terminal 2 as if it were terminal, I can't say for sure, but one of the biggest questions in this pile also had to do with divine order. Now, divine order is a complicated spiritual truth. Everything is in divine order, but it's a very abused spiritual truth. It's often referred to as this: if it's meant to be, it'll happen. We are divine beings. We're supposed to get our divine self in order. Now, the universe was saying to all of us in that moment, who really wants to get there? Who would like to make this connection? Who wants to get to the garden? And just like in life, in airports, things change, but God is in the changed plans. And how we respond is God responding. And the destination's the same. We're all going back to the garden. We're all Adam and Eve consciousness. We turned away from the Holy Spirit in the garden. This is the point Jesus is making in the prodigal son. We turned away, and we're all going back to the same place. It's just a matter of when we choose to get there. When are we going to be done with the drama? When are we going to be finished with the confusion and choose to put our heart and soul into this greatest gift? The image of Heather running and throwing her luggage, and that poor race walker, and her just going, hi. It stays with me now forever. And it's an inspiration. It's like, that's how I want to be living my life, with just joy and moving forward. And it reminds me of Chariots of Fire and every movie about running and the Olympics. Because if you think about it, has there ever been a runner in history who ever put their hand on the chalk and thought to themselves, everything is in divine order, therefore I will not give it everything I've got? Of course not. There may be some racers who, when everything's in divine order, I will pour all my heart and soul into this race. And when it's said and done, if I don't win, I have still won. Because I gave it all I got. And it was never between me and these other people anyway. It was an agreement between me and God to come to this experience and give my heart and soul to it. I have still won, whether or not I win. Let's run for our lives. Let it begin to have a breakthrough to a new you. Let's run for our lives. Run for our lives like a man whose head's on fire runs for water. Run for our lives as if our life depends on it, because it does. Run for our life as if we're in the amazing race, because we are. Of all the celestial planes and the planets and the parallel universes that may exist, we got in. We got into the amazing race. We're here. Let's run with the serenity prayer as the wind beneath our wings. Remember, each and every day of our life, think of two things: the pistol and the tape. When you hear one, run for your life.